A very good afternoon, students. In continuation with the previous lecture, we'll continue with the same about the communication of the communication decision in the international market. So we'll be continuing with the same topic in this particular discussion also. So, in this particular discussion, we'll be talking about the concept of international marketing communication mix. So, you can see over here that the international marketing communication mix, it consists of advertising, sales promotion, public relation, direct interactive marketing, and personal selling. So the marketing communication mix actually involves all these things. So a firm generally uses a mix of all these promotional tools after it considers the firm's strategy and marketing requirements. So advertisement, as you all know, that it is a paid form of non-personal communication that is carried out through newspapers, magazines, radio, television, and other mass media by an identified sponsor. Besides, it is also a non-personal form of communication. So the sales promotion comprises short-term marketing measures which stimulate quick actions of the buyers and the results in immediate sale of the products. It also includes rebates and price discounts, firms' catalogs and brochures, samples, coupons, and gifts. So you can say that as a part of its image building exercise, a firm invests in public relations. It can include sponsorship of sports and cultural events, press release, and even lobbying at government level. Direct marketing is also an effective marketing communication tool, wherein a firm has direct interaction with the customers. Personal selling involves direct selling by a firm's sales force and is considered to be a two-way method of marketing communication, which helps in building strong customer relationships. So the customer actually you can say that the communication mix as the communication mix for an international market is influenced by mostly the following factors, that is by the market size, the cost of promotional activity, the resource availability, the media availability, mode of entry into international markets, market characteristic, type of product, and price sensitivity. The main purpose of promotion is to present information to consumers and others, to increase demand, to differentiate a product, sales increase, new product acceptance, and creating brand equity. So, as we already had talked that advertising, it is a paid form of communication that is carried out through newspapers, magazines, radio, television, and other mass media that is done by an identified sponsor. Sales promotion, it also comprises short-term marketing measures which stimulates quick buyer's action and result in immediate sale of the product. As a part of its image building exercise, a firm invests in public relations. It may include sponsorship of sports and cultural events, press release, and even lobbying at government level. So these are the various things, or this you can say this is the actual communication mix. Then we'll be talking about the various factors which influence the promotional strategy. So the factors which influence the promotional strategy, the first one is the type of product. So you can say that some products possess universal selling points and some products may not. So you can say the example of razor, the blades, the ballpoint pen, the automobile, the tire, they are promoted in a more standardized way than the cosmetics, clothing, and luxury items. Then, if we talk about homogeneity or heterogeneity of markets, when aggregate characteristics such as income, education, occupation, etc., are similar, the market may use the same selling points. Then, if we talk about the characteristics and availability of media, if some markets offer poor agency service, a market may be forced to rely on centralized control of promotion with necessary uniformities in message and media strategy. Then the types of advertising agency. That is type of advertising agency that is available. If some markets offer poor agency service, a marketer may be forced to rely on centralized control of promotion with necessary uniformities in message and media strategy. Then, if we talk about the government and legal restrictions, some government prohibits certain types of messages, other tax advertisement or artwork. Also, there are legal and ethical constraints in many countries, which prohibit mentioning a competitor's product or which limit the claims that can be made for the company's own product. If we talk about the promotional appeals, the most common advertising appeals use mostly fear, humor, rational or bandwagon propaganda. So first is fear, that is, advertisers use fear appeal to produce immediate behavior change such as eating healthier or not smoking. You can take the example of deodorant and the example of toothpaste companies. The deodorant and the toothpaste ads mostly employ this tactics. Then you have the humor, which makes consumers laugh and create an emotional link with the product. Then you have rational appeal, where it is a logical appeal. It focuses on the consumer's need for functionality of the product. These ads tell consumers the benefits associated with the purchase of the product. For example, household appliance manufacturers may tell about features that lower home utility costs and protect the environment. Then you have bandwagon, in which advertising is a specific type of propaganda that tries to target the audience to jump on board so as not to miss out on what everyone else is doing. It focuses on the target audience desire to be included and be part of the cool crowd. Like Maybelline, the skincare and makeup company, took this bold position with its mascara, claiming that it was America's favorite mascara. So Maybelline claims that the mascara is immensely popular not only because it is a great product but also because it uses patriotism as a tool. So these are the various types of appeals an advertisement can use. So as you already talked that advertisement is in a paid form of non-personal presentation. So advertisement actually differs from country to country. So the relative effectiveness of different media may be different in different countries. So media availability also varies. So mass media advertising and direct advertising. Mass media are media which reach a large number of the general public like TV, newspaper, magazines. Direct advertising is market communication addressed directly to the specific customers targeted. In Indian exports would have difficulties to compete with the large mega budget mass media advertisers in the foreign market. So you can see over here advertisement can be through television, it can be through radio, newspapers, it can be through outdoor media, through cinemas, through directories, through rural media, or through a stadium. Now we'll talk about advertising standardization versus adaptation. So what is advertising standardization? Advertising standardization so is actually what it is using the same strategy across countries due to the changes in environment in different countries. So actually a company may decide whether it wants to standardize its product or adapt its advertisement according to the countries. The firms actually have to very carefully scrutinize um, the decision to use standardized and advertisement, as these may face social legal problems when used in the context of another country. So the adaptation of advertising may be either due to mandatory reasons like regulatory framework or voluntarily due to competitive market response. So if we talk about advertisement standardization, using it is actually using the same advertisement strategy across the countries is termed as standardization. So, adopting a standardized advertisement strategy is gaining wider acceptance nowadays due to a large number of factors, which are as follows. The preference and lifestyle of consumers are increasingly, it is becoming more homogeneous, enabling the psychographic segmentation of markets that can be targeted through a uniform message. Then the consumer behavior is increasingly getting similar in the urban centers across the world. The city dwellers exhibit similar working, shopping, traveling, and lifestyle patterns across the countries. Then, a sharp increase in international travel among customers has made the standardization advertisement strategy quite popular among the companies. International, you can say the international reach of media like television is there, magazines, and some of the newspapers has also boosted the use of standardized advertisement. For instance, programs on channels such as Z TV, Star Plus, ESPN, Discovery, BBC, and CNN are telecast and watched across the globe. So, standardized advertisement approach facilitates creation of uniform corporate image. A firm achieves economies of scale if it follows standardized advertising approach. However, the extent of standardization, what will happen, it varies depending on the various categories. The same, you can talk about advertisement with has no change. So it can be an advertisement with no change. So the same advertisement is used with no change in theme, copy, or illustration, except for translation. like Benetton Group is there. The Italy-based global clothing retailer uses global advertising campaign with the same theme, the United Colors of Benetton. So, however, Benetton's advertisement use shocking photos to attract the public attention on global issues related to environment, terrorism, racism, and HIV. Many of Benetton's advertisement campaigns have been under criticism and attack in a number of countries. But insofar an advertisement creates and sustains the customer's interest, Benetton is keeping on moving ahead with its standardized advertisement. Then we talk about advertisement with changes in illustrations. So the advertisements, which are using local models worldwide, maintain the advertisement copy and the theme are also considered standardized advertisement. For instance, Lux has maintained a single advertising concept worldwide. It promotes the brand through cinestars. Lux has been positioned as the beauty shop for film stars, but adaptation have been made in different countries depending upon the local context. For example, you can say it uses local film models in its advertisement. Lux was launched in India in 1905 before it started local manufacturing in 1934. So it is believed that celebrities represent an ideal life and most people aspire and dream to be like cinestars. So the cinestars are supposed to possess flawless skin and blemish-free face. Uh, and the fans are always curious to know their beauty secrets. So in India, Leela Chitnis was actually the first movie actor who endorsed the brand of Lux. Since then, a host of movie actors are there, like Devika Rani was there, Nutan, Madhubala, Mala Sinha, Sadhana, have all introduced the brand Lux. Presently, Katrina, Priyanka, Karishma, Karina, Rani, and other beauty queen like Ashwarya have endorsed Lux in the Indian subcontinent. So Lux endorsed by Sabita Prera in Sri Lanka. So what is happening that they're using cine stars in every country. So the Hollywood actors that have featured in Lux commercial have been Rita Hayworth, Marilyn Monroe, Brooke Shields. Okay, so you can see that advertisement is same, but a little bit change in the illustration has been brought out. So advertising actually plays a very important role in positioning a brand. Virginia Slims was always positioned as a women's cigarette right from its inception. So it later became an international market leader using a wide worldwide reach campaign, Find Your Voice, in which it used local models in different countries. So universal appeals in international advertisings are used in the following situations, mostly when it has a superior quality. The promise of superior quality may be used universally. For example, BMW uses the slogan Ultimate Driving Machine worldwide. Then, if we talk about new product or service, the worldwide launch of a product under the sprinkler approach is generally coupled with is it is actually coupled with a global communication campaign. For example, Microsoft used campaign like launching its new version of Windows. Country of origin, brands and product categories that have a strong country stereotype often leverage the route. They leverage the route by emphasizing on made in. Okay, so they're already focusing on made in. So the country of origin is often emphasized in case of luxury and fashion products. Then celebrities are also used. So celebrities with universal appeal are engaged for global products, whereas the regional or national celebrities are employed for regional communication. Then Swiss watchmakers SMH International, it promoted actually its brand mm, Omega brand with a TV commercial that actually features actor Pierce Brosnan. Okay, so it was featuring Pierce Brosnan after the release of the James Bond movie GoldenEye. Sachin Tendulkar and Aishwarya Rai have been used in a number of their advertising campaigns also in the South Asian regions. So they are using celebrities. Then, if we talk about lifestyle, a large number of global upscale brands use lifestyle advertisement to target their customer regardless of the country. Then, if you talk about global presence, in order to enhance the brand's image, firms project their global presence by communicating to the target audience that the product is used worldwide, and by using it they will also become a part of that global customer communicating community. Then we talk about market leadership. So, market leadership brands with a strong country image often send a signal to the target audience that it is most preferred brand in their home markets. So, the fact that the company is a market leader nationally, regionally, internationally gives out a very strong message. to the customers. Then, if we talk about the corporate image, the firms also use a common marketing communication approach to project a uniform corporate image. So, the major benefits of standardized advertising include economies of scale and projection of uniform image in the international markets. Such an approach can be adopted in the following market situations. The target market is segmented on the basis of psychographic profile of the customer, such as their lifestyle, behavior, and attitudes, the cultural proximity among the customers, the technology intensive or industrial products, then the similarity in the marketing environment, such as maybe political, legal, and social. The next we'll talk about advertising adaptation. So modification actually in the advertisement message, copy or content is termed as adaptation or customization. So the emphasis on communication strategies varies between markets. You can take the example, rich lather in bathtub and foamy experience is stressed in the advertisement campaign in Lux in Europe, where it is primarily sold as a liquid soap, which not may be the case in other countries. Lux is mainly a shampoo in China, in Taiwan and in Philippines, and a soap in India, and everything from a soap to a shampoo in Japan. Hence, the benefits of the marketed product are emphasized in each of the markets. So, communication adaptation is often needed in international markets due to the following reasons. Maybe because of difference in cultural values among the countries, difficulties in language translation, variations in the level of education of the target groups, media availability, social attitudes toward advertising, variations in level of education. As the customer behavior is greatly influenced by the cultural factors in the target market, it is very difficult for a standardized communication strategy to be effective across different country markets. So, to convey a similar concept across the various cultures, a firm has to adapt its advertising campaigns, okay, in different markets. So, it has to be adapted according to the markets in view of the different cultural contexts. So you can take the example of Pepsi. Actually, Pepsi is an advertisement in Western countries which may depict scantily uh, clad women in a swimsuit on a beach or in a bar. This is not feasible to adapt in Islamic countries due to the statutory framework and the cultural aspects. So the global brands have a very challenging task actually to build a global image while remaining sensitive to the cultural nuances in different countries. So so the world's most popular male grooming brand is also there, like Axe. X is launched by Unilever in 1983 in France. It is one of the rarest global brands that actually replicates its marketing mix across geographical boundaries. So, although it is targeted at males whose age is between 16 to 25, it really aims at naughty guys of all ages and those young at heart. So the brand has an excellent track record of advertising honors with several international advertising and marketing awards. Despite a globally uniform central theme, which revolves around seduction by the girls, the Axe advertisement campaign are adapted aptly to suit local cultures. So, in Western liberal societies, explicit advertisements are used to portray such scenarios, whereas brilliantly, you can say that subtle advertisements are used to convey the theme in highly conservative societies, such as Saudi Arabia. Such adaptation becomes very crucial to the marketing success for global brands in a diverse and cultural context. So Pepsi mostly customizes its advertisement campaign to depict its core value of youthfulness, or you can say spirited, up-to-date young people associated with Generation Next. As celebrities enjoy a demigod status in India, Pepsi has also used a number of celebrities like Shah Rukh Khan, Saif Ali Khan, Sachin Tendulkar, and Rani Mukherjee in their advertisements. Music is also a universal favorite with the generation next. So that is why Pepsi had signed and endorsed deals with Britney Spears and Ricky Martin also. So Pepsi invented a game called Pepsi Food, which could be played by exchanging short text messages over the phone in response to the wireless revolution by mobile phones in Finland. Besides music and soccer, emphasis is also given to family values in China. The Russian market has been in transition phase from being a highly communist and conservative country to becoming a liberal capitalist country. So, as musicians make a dent into the society, mostly the youth, the Pepsi has used a rock band in its advertisement campaign in Russia. So, based on this intense cross country consumer research, Pepsi also launched the Life for Now campaign globally in May 2012. So, it did so by updating the Pulse platform, making extensive use of social networking sites, and encouraging customers to and like pin items from the dashboard. So you can see actually that the advertising decisions in international market, they often actually revolve around the very issue of whether to keep a standardized advertisement or to adapt the advertisement as per the changes in the local markets. So it may be noted also that even the term standardization varies quite considerably. It encompasses advertisement with no change as well as advertisement with changes in illustrations to communicate the basic concept. So, the emergence of global psychographic segments of the customers and breakthroughs in communication and transport has encouraged a lot the standardized advertising. Some of the global firms such as Avon is there, then we have Amway, we have Mary Kay, and they have actually successfully employed direct marketing in international markets. However, you can see that adaptation was necessitated due to the market characteristics and government regulation in countries such as India and China. So these are the various communication decisions that that an advertisement or an international marketer has to take when he's doing or he's communicating about his product in the international market. So that is why you can say that the communication is a very crucial to firm success in international market. The consumer hierarchy models, as we had already talked about in the previous lectures, it provides the framework of the buying process that facilitates the promotional decisions. So the alternative marketing communication strategies, that is the pull and the push strategies that also we have talked about in the earlier segments. So these are all very primarily based on targeting of the channel intermediaries. So whenever a marketer is communicating actually in the international market, so all these nuances have to be kept in mind. Or as we had already discussed in the earlier examples of Coca-Cola and Chevrolet, the marketers may fail miserably in the international market. So it is very much necessary that whatever you're communicating in the international market, that is well kept in mind. If it is necessary, then you have to adapt your communication. If it is necessary, you have to adapt your products. So a lot of changes, a lot of research has to be done when you are entering into the international market. For today's lecture, this is all from my side, students. I think we'll meet in the next lecture where we'll be talking about, we'll talk about the direct marketing and the very strategic framework for international product and promotion decisions. So, for today, this is all from my side. We'll meet in the next lecture. Okay, students, thank you.